Anyway, there was I don't know if you wanted to touch on that. There was this.
Yes, if you're talking about Bartzokas, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
After the win against Real, he went to the press conference, and one of the journalists asked about the doubters, the haters, or so about Bartzokas specifically, that there are people doubting his competency to lead this team to the title, let's say. Of course, it came after a few losses before. Let's say the Greek derby was a loss as well. And we can remember that although Olympiacos made the Final Fours in these past few years, they haven't won one. And the roster they have this year, you probably have the goals to win the EuroLeague for sure with the roster they have, right? So do you guys see any merit for change there? Because Bartzokas thinks that maybe people got, grew old, or how do you say, like, got tired of the same old faces in the team. Maybe they want changes, even though the changes might not bring the desired results. Do you think there is a need to change Bartzokas and his system in Olympiacos?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And his system is so specific. The way they build the roster for him is so specific that I can only see a coaching change in the off season. A coaching change during the season
overhaul, right?
It wouldn't make any sense. Like, there is no other club right now that's running things the way Olympiacos are. It kind of was like that with Pablo Lasso and Real Madrid. I don't see any reason for people to doubt Bartzokas right now. Like, you lose a couple of games in regular season and there's reactions to this, like, we need to change the head coach. I mean, it's insane. It's insane what we're talking about. Like, I'm not even sure why we're discussing this.
The patience is number one thing that's annoying me, coming from fans' perspective.
Like the lack of patience.
The lack of patience. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
just exactly. So it's the number one thing, because you lose one game and you immediately get like questions in the press conference about you not doing a good enough job, and Andrea Trinchieri says it right. I as a coach have to see the big picture, and I think Bartzokas sees the big picture. Although I had some discussions with some basketball people about this, that Bartzokas' system elevates his players, makes it easy for his players to actually play great basketball. Sometimes you get stuck playing that because it's just, if the opposing team is focused enough for 38 minutes, or they're like switching everything, they have the certain personnel, you will have difficulties. And Olympiacos sometimes sees that during the playoffs or in the Final Four, where you need to win one game. Like, his system, I think, at the same time empowers players, but at the same time sometimes limits them in the games where you need more, let's say, randomness.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. That's what we saw last year, for example.
I think
in certain games.
Well, last year they lacked guards that could actually improvise and do that
that's
stuff.
that's why I'm super high on them this season, because they have actually improved in that. And even, let's say, Evan Fournier does not play very well during the regular season. That's hypothetical. I'm not saying he's not playing well. Or like Tyler Dorsey is not getting a lot of minutes. But in the playoffs, I think they could be huge to actually help with that randomness factor. Because, as I mentioned, that system is helping most of the time. But sometimes I think it is kind of a little factor. But you are not going to fire Bartzokas for that reason.
No way.
That's like the results
you
are
hired
there.
him to do this stuff, so obviously you need patience. From players' perspective, the only thing that is super important is you have to be willing to make sacrifices. Like, you might think about yourself as one of the top players in the EuroLeague in your position, and you could start thinking, on that team I would be getting more shots, more minutes, a bigger role every night, every week. And here, one game I play 10 minutes, the other game I play 15. And basically, I know when I will enter the court. I know when I will be subbed out. I know when I will come back. So it's just that you need to be ready to sacrifice something. And Alec Peters is the perfect example. And nobody seems unhappy or frustrated because they realize they're in here to win championships. That's one thing. The other thing is that Olympiacos is in a position to offer you a solid and sometimes even long-term contract. Therefore, you don't have to think about the future too much. I think on the roster right now, there's only 1 or 2 players with 1 year left on the contract. So you kind of feel safe from that perspective. And therefore, it's not an issue for you to, let's say, play less minutes sometimes and have less shots than you would on some other teams.